So let's make one from this. So here's our sequence, pizza oven sequence 1080. I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate this sequence. So it comes up, pizza oven sequence 1080. I'm going to click in there to change the name, and we're going to make a square version of this. So I'm going to put sequence in brackets square. Now square is also known as 1-to-1. Like we talked about 16:9 and your fractions. So the best way to bring it down from 1920 to 1080 is 16 across to 9 down. Square is 1-to-1, so it's 1 to the height and 1 to the width, so they're equal on both sides. I say that now so it makes it clear once we select what we're going to select. So now we've got two sequences of the same thing, but we have two different titles. So let's double click into the square one, which opens up in here, and it looks pretty much the same because it is exactly the same. I'm just going to delete these other two elements. That was the color grading and the motion graphics. And here we have our sequence again. Now we're going to go square. So first and foremost, I'm going to get rid of the letterbox. So let's get rid of that because we don't need that. I'm just going to spend a bit of time just going through making sure that everything isn't top or bottom. Remember when we moved within, like here? So I'm just going to select this clip here, and I'm going to just cancel that, reset it back to the original. That's fine. That's fine. That's not. So we reset the parameters of the position back down. Same with this one. I'm going to reframe, come over and reframe that. Just takes a bit of time, but you just make sure that you're in the correct position to start from, because what we're going to do is we're going to use Adobe Premiere Pro to sequence the reframing of this. Now this is a new addition in Premiere Pro within the last couple of years, and it takes a lot of the work for you. It's not completely foolproof, but it does at least give you a better starting position. And good. I'm going to leave, I'm not going to reset this, not only because top and bottom is fine, but also we've got this movement on here, and it'll be interesting to see what Premiere Pro does with that when we're trying to reframe. So now that we've got everything filling the whole screen, it's simply a one click in Premiere Pro, at least to get you to a decent starting position, and that is within the actual sequence. We're going to go up to sequence in the top and select auto reframe sequence. So once we click that, we're going to get this dialog, and this is where we make the decision as to what we're going to reframe this sequence as. So my target aspect ratio is square, or as I said, 1-to-1. We're in 16:9, so that's there, but you also have the option for 4:5, which is kind of like square but a little bit taller. A lot of video on Instagram is quite popular with 4:5, and 9:16, which is fully vertical, usually used for the likes of reels and for stories. But for this sequence, we're just going to say square 1-to-1. But if you did want any of the others, they're all here. Motion tracking I leave on as default. You can say either slower motion or faster motion. I'll explain what that means once we get into it. And I don't nest clips. I don't want to nest any of the clips, because if we want to then affect any of them, we'd have to go into the clips, and it can really just overcomplicate things. So I'm just going to leave don't nest clips and create. Now what this is doing is it's working through, if you look down here at the bottom right hand side, it's done in no time at all. What that's done is it's auto reframed this sequence to, as you can see, square video. If we go back to the beginning of the sequence and press play, leaving the audio off for now, you can see we're now taking up the full square. Okay, that doesn't work. We'll have to change that because that's not how we wanted it. But moving around, that might need a little bit reframing again. That as well. But yeah, in general, it's all right. It's a good starting position for us. To give you an example of what it would have looked like had we not reframed anything, your videos would have come in. If I take off the auto reframe, it would have come in like this. This is how it would have looked, and you'd have had to maybe scale up a bit, maybe find where you want to be. Whereas with auto reframe, it starts it for you. It's not always great, we saw on that second frame, but we can easily affect that. So let's, I'm happy with that first clip. Second clip, I kind of just want it to stay there, to be honest with you. So I'm going to, what you can't see here is the generated path of keyframes. Remember the keyframes that we were dealing with before? If we tick this overwrite generated path, all of a sudden we have all these keyframes that we couldn't see before. And if we skip through them, you can see that, yeah, that's when Premiere Pro started moving everything over, because they wanted to see my father-in-law Joey's hand, and that's not what I want. Now what we could do is we could go with all of these different keyframes and readjust them if we wanted to, or for this clip in particular we could just turn off auto reframe. We're scaled up. Let's see how that looks. I'm happy with that. That doesn't need to be animated through. We've still got all this data in here, but we don't need it. What I might do is I might move the video over a little bit, or the clip over a little bit. Remember when we had the letterbox and we were talking about the height and we were able to go up and down? Well, we don't have any room top and bottom because we're zoomed in all the way to fill top and bottom, but because of the nature of the beast that is square, we've got room to go side by side, and we've still got area of our footage. So if we go a little bit more central, bring on the save markers, and as you can see, these now reflect in square, and I'm happy with that. That's centered up. Play that back. Yeah, that's good. Go through the next one. Happy with that, but we don't have the zoom out that we put in initially. I can't see it. I'm gonna toggle off auto reframe, and let's see how that original zoom out looked. Good. I prefer that. I'm more than happy with that. We'll leave that as it is. So as you can see, auto reframe works for a lot, but some it's not even needed. That's definitely needed. We need to move that. Now we could affect this generator path, or what we could do, which is easier, is to reframe offset. So we offset the reframe. So just like up here, you've got the x-axis and the y-axis, or the other way around. You grab this, and this is almost like playing with the anchor point, and we're moving this over, but we're not setting a keyframe for it. So if we play this now, it's brought it to the side for us. That works perfectly. Similarly with this, I think maybe we need to bring it over to the left a little bit. See, because what auto reframe is doing is it's using motion tracking and what it thinks you want in shot. Sometimes that isn't quite right. So with this, again, we're all the way to the side of the pizza oven. So if we offset that just a little bit to the side, go to the clip before. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, that looks good. Happy with that. That does something a little bit strange that I don't want it to. Okay, let's go into here and check the motion tracking of here. If we overwrite generated path, if we size this up a little bit, we can actually see the different ways of going between the handles. It's that movement there that doesn't really fit. I'm going to take out those keyframes and maybe bring this keyframe over a little bit and have it so it's there, and maybe drag that for the whole of it. So that makes that movement almost negligible, but it keeps the pizza in the center. Moving on to the next clip. Yeah, I'm happy with that. That possibly needs to be offset a little bit over to the left. Yeah, happy with that. Oh, that doesn't do anything good. Let's see, the thing is, this will get better over time. It is relatively new, but I'm actually going to turn off auto frame with that, auto reframe even, and yeah, I'm happy with that. These things, all these kind of tools of being able to auto reframe, you see, we don't even like that. These kind of auto reframe things, these are mainly the things that will get affected. with bug fixes and updates during the year where there's not major updates to the software, which is why it's really important to keep your program as up to date as possible. I'm not happy with that there. I want to offset that position just a little there so it's more in frame. Looks good. That looks good. And it looks like auto reframe is actually fighting there against our pan across, which we put here. So let's turn off that auto reframe, and I'm going to actually zoom out here a little bit because I know that we zoomed in. Let's scale out slightly, see how much room we've got. I'm going to turn off that keyframe because I don't think it works necessarily in square, and yeah, okay, that's about as much room as we've got. And I'm going to reanimate this. So we're going to get into here and set this position, put that right at the beginning, and then we're going to go maybe just to there and set that right at the end. So then that looks good. That's a nice slow pan across as we finish. And that is how easy it is to reframe depending on what video format and what platform you want to export out to. You can have such freedom with this. You can make almost entirely different videos depending on what you're playing with. I mean, we're talking like if you're in 916, which is fully vertical, you can put a couple of videos on the same line and it works absolutely perfectly. But yeah, I hope that helps. That's how to reframe. And yeah, that should set you up for even more work in social video.